Good evening. This is the Intergovernmental Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, November 3rd. My name is Linda Gray. I'm the First District Council person, and I am the chair of this committee. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. First, I'd like to take attendance. Councilwoman Shanae Darby.
Present.
Councilwoman Michelle Harley.
Present.
Councilwoman Yolanda McCoy. Councilwoman Xanthia Oliver. Who's that? Councilperson Ernest Trippy Congo, sorry.
Here.
Are there any other council members present that are not on the committee that would like to introduce themselves? Okay, thank you. This evening we have a presentation by Ms. Tracy Harvey from the City of Dover about down payment settlement, and she has been most gracious to allow us to take care of some legislative business first. So the agenda is changing. We're going to take Ordinance 21-050 first. Do we have anyone here to speak to that?
Yes, I'm here to speak to that. So this ordinance, I'm bringing it up, sorry. This ordinance is to amend Chapter 2 of the City Code to require that incarcerated individuals in the state of Delaware or federal correctional facilities who were city residents before incarceration be counted at their respective last known city addresses for redistricting purposes. So the Delaware General Assembly already enacted this law requiring that incarcerated individuals in the state of Delaware are counted by their last known address instead of where they are incarcerated at. So this legislation is just to go and follow what the state is doing, to be in compliance and to just be in consistency in what the state is doing and making sure that we're protecting vulnerable communities when we're talking about redistricting in our city.
Are you finished, Councilwoman Darby?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Do any committee members have questions or comments? Councilwoman
Madam
Harley?
Chair, my hand is up.
Councilwoman Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to thank Councilmember Darby for presenting this legislation. I know 3 or 4 months ago, one of my constituents that works with the ACLU had already given me a heads up that there is an opportunity for City Council to sponsor this legislation. And when he explained it to me, I definitely felt as though it was definitely the right thing to do. I think if there is such a thing as gerrymandering, whether it's intentional or not, this definitely would be a opportunity for gerrymandering to happen when you have prisons and when you have those that inmates that are allowed to use the addresses of the cities where the prisons are located. I mean, that is totally, to me, that's a little absurd to use those addresses. So most definitely, I support this legislation to use the addresses of the inmates' last known address. So I really feel as though this is definitely the right thing to do. It allows those that are coming out of prison to be able to vote, for those that can vote, to be able to vote in the proper districts where they live. So I am in total support of this legislation and would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Make a notation that you will be added as a co-sponsor. Are there any other comments from other committee members? Any comments from non-committee members that are participating? Okay, I think, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this? Okay, do I have a motion? This is an ordinance, so it needs to be moved out of committee. Do I have a motion to move this out of committee?
Second.
Who made the motion?
Harley.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a vote by ayes? Ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think we have a quorum. Everyone voted aye, and we have 3, so it's a quorum. So this will move to, do I have a date for when this will be on the agenda for City Council?
Yes, November the 18th.
November the 18th, this will be on the agenda. Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to move to our guest. We have.
Madam Chair, may I be excused?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. We have a guest, Miss Tracy Harvey from Dover, and she is in charge of, and I think she started their down payment settlement program. And I will say that hopefully Wilmington will have one soon. I have an ordinance coming up, but I think that she will have some valuable information for me and for others listening as to how we can move forward here in Wilmington. So, Ms. Harvey, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gray. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tracy Harvey, and I'm the Community Development Manager for the City of Dover, and I manage the city's homeownership and down payment and settlement assistance program. I've managed that program for over the last 18 years, and it is a very successful program. I'm just going to provide you with a brief overview of the qualifications and eligibility requirements for the program. And if you have any questions after the presentation, just feel free to ask. I'm going to start off with the qualifications. Buyer must be a first-time home buyer. Buyer must have at least $1,000 cash, and that's for earnest money and inspection fees before closing. The home to be purchased must be the principal residence of the buyer. The buyer must complete a home ownership counseling program with a certified HUD counselor prior to closing. Funding is not reserved until the buyer has been approved by a mortgage lender. First mortgage must be held by a bank approved by the program, and the City of Dover uses the same lenders as Delaware State Housing Authority, and they have a list of approved lenders on their website. Buyers must have a credit score of 620 and above to be eligible for the Dover First Start program. An ASHI home inspection must be completed on all existing properties with any major defects identified, repaired prior to closing by a licensed contractor. New construction must have a 1-year HUD approved warranty. A visual assessment for lead-based paint must be conducted on all homes built prior to 1978. Income limits cannot exceed 80% of the area median income based on family size for the City of Dover as defined by HUD. And these income limits change on an annual basis. HUD supplies a list annually with the changes in the income limits. No cash back will be given to the buyer at settlement, and additional funds will be credited back to the City of Dover. We provide assistance up to $20,000 for properties purchased within the City of Dover limits. The city places a second mortgage lien on the property, and if the property is not sold, rented, or leased within the first 10 years, the loan is forgiven. There is an interest rate at 0%, and it's forgiven after 10 years once again. Loan to value maximum is based on VA, FHA, and conventional loan guidelines. The next document I'm going to discuss regards the checklist that's submitted to the City of Dover for closing. There's a Dover First Start application form, which is any form that your organization can create, and that just verifies that the applicant is eligible and they meet the requirements for the program. A housing counseling completion certificate is provided, a loan estimate from the lender, agreement of sale and seller's disclosure, a certificate of occupancy is required for new construction with a termite inspection, a home inspection on all existing properties, a commitment letter from the lender, and a visual lead-based paint visual inspection for all properties built prior to 1978. We usually process our checks, and when we process the checks go directly to the attorney and not the buyer. And then lastly, I want to talk about the repayment agreement that's submitted, that's an agreement between the City of Dover and the buyer. And it basically states on that agreement that as long as you don't move, sell, or rent the property for 10 years, the loan is forgiven. And if you decide to sell within that time frame, you have to pay back a portion of that loan based on the year that you sell the property. And that's about it, and I can answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Do we have a visual of her, or I just can't see?
My camera is not working. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. I just thought it might be on our end because I'm looking at a screen. Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from committee members? No questions? From non-committee members? Okay, well, I have,
Yes, I have a question.
thank you.
Madam Chair.
President Congo?
Yes, I want to first of all just thank you for bringing this presentation before City Council and the public. How much is the assistance? I'm not sure if I missed that or not.
We provide up to $20,000 per person, or do you want the total amount that of the grant that I receive on an annual basis?
Both, please.
Okay, yeah, we provide up to $20,000, and usually the grants amount have increased over the years due to the rising cost of housing. So this year my allocation is $178,000.
Okay, just a follow-up, Madam Chair.
Yes.
How do you determine how much the loan will be for? How does that work?
I don't do that. The lender does that. All I do is provide the settlement assistance.
Okay. All right. So there aren't any like specific qualifications. If a person needs 5,000 or 20,000, it's just determined by.
That's determined by the lender.
Okay. Okay.
You're welcome.
Also, I think you could explain that HUD puts out the AMI for different districts every year, and the loans
They
are
do.
the loans are greater 80% of AMI. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, that's based on the income for the buyer.
Right.
That's not the loan. That's the income requirements that the buyer can exceed in order to be eligible for the program.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions
welcome.
from committee or non-committee members?
Yes, I have another question.
Go ahead.
You said the grant is 178,000.
Yes.
Is that the only source of funding for the program?
For the city of Dover, yes. Some other municipalities, I think Newcastle County has one, but I think with theirs, they have to pay back. With the city of Dover, as long as you don't move, rent, or sell the property within 10 years, it's forgiven. So I believe I'm the only one in the state of Delaware that has a forgivable loan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I must say that the ordinance that I've had drawn up, hopefully it will pass, is a forgivable loan also for citizens of Wilmington, if they satisfy the qualifications, which is 10 years in the property, like you said. My question is, have you noticed an increase in home ownership since you implemented this program, or have you been able to tell if there's been, more people purchasing homes in Dover?
Actually, the crazy thing about it, when COVID first hit, I had a increase in home ownership. Normally, I do maybe 5 or 6 a year. I believe last year I did 12. So for whatever reason, there was an increase in home ownership in the city of Dover.
Oh, thank you. And you think a lot of it was because of this program, the help with down payment settlement money?
That and because the interest rates are extremely low right now, and right now it's cheaper to buy a home than it is to rent. As you know, the rent is outrageous in the state of Delaware. So a lot of residents, what I found to be, it was cheaper to buy a house with a lower mortgage than it was for rent, to pay a higher rent.
I think that's what we're experiencing in Wilmington, like you said, in the state of Delaware. Yes, we're having a lot of homelessness. A lot of people, hopefully, in the next month or two, won't lose their rental properties, but we'll have to wait and see.
Also, there is a lack of affordable rental housing in the city of Dover, and I don't know if you experienced that program, that the same thing up there. So they're building more affordable housing rather than rental in the city of Dover.
Well, I don't think that we have a lot of affordable rental properties either, but I don't know if we're building any. I'm promoting home ownership, so hopefully some of the homes that that are available, this will allow people to purchase them and stay in the city, because our growth is just about nil right about now.
Exactly.
Right.
I have
So,
another follow-up, Madam Chair.
yes.
Is the grant, so the grant, it doesn't, I don't know if I heard that correctly, but is the grant totally exhausted every year?
Yes. There's never any carryover money for the homeownership assistance program, so I always have to apply for additional funds when I do my renewals for the following year.
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear that correctly. Okay, thank you.
When you say grants, are you using CBDG grants?
Yes.
From HUD, yes, okay, thank
Yes.
you. So every year you have to apply again for that specific grant?
Well, what I do is, we're an entitlement community, just like the city of Wilmington.
Yes.
So when I go before council for my recommendations for my funding, I usually ask for a higher amount to be allocated to the homeownership program because it's so successful.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I might be calling you later to ask you more questions that I don't have right now, so, does anyone else have, do we have anyone from the public that has questions?
Christian Willauer.
Ms. Wilhauer? Christian? You can
Hi.
speak. Hi, you can speak.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for allowing me to speak. And I just want to say this is a really exciting initiative that you're thinking about bringing to Wilmington. And it was great to hear a presentation about the successful program in Dover, because it kind of gives a sense of how it would work here. And I guess I wanted to ask, my question for Dover was, why do you do a grant and not a loan?
It's actually one and the same. We just call it a grant because it's a grant under CDBG, but actually it is a loan, and it's a non-interest bearing loan.
I guess my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess my question is, why do you forgive it after 10 years?
We don't want to put a burden on the homeowner, and we want, because this grant is available to residents that are 80% and below the area of median income, and so we want to make it affordable. And HUD allows us to do that, and it's in the regulations where we're allowed to do that to make it forgivable.
And I guess my question is what benefit do you think that has for like the program?
The success of itself, I mean, since I've been doing it for the last 18 years, and we've had over 120 home buyers, and these people, they stay in their homes, and we have a very low rate of foreclosure. So I can probably count on one hand the number of foreclosures that I have, and I just want to give a shout out to NCALL, because they are excellent in the housing council preparing these homeowners for these homes. So it's a very successful program, and it's, like I said again, it's cheaper than renting.
Thank you.
Can you, I have another question, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, can you walk us through the process of someone who was applying for the grant?
How they start out, before they're, basically, I'm the last step. What they do is they meet with the mortgage lender. The mortgage lender refers them to the housing counselor, and that's when the housing counselor reviews their credit, and their budget. And then once they receive their certificate from NCall, they're referred to me. And what I do is I determine if they're eligible for the program, if they meet the City of Dover requirements. Once they meet those requirements, they can start looking for a home. Once they start looking for a home and they're under contract, 10 days before closing, I get the documents from NCall, and then a check is submitted to the attorney for closing.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was stated also they have to finish a class and they have to have the inspections already by closing, correct?
They're required to have 8 hours of housing counseling through NCall, or any other HUD certified housing counselor is 8 hours, and that's a HUD requirement. And what was your other question? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, if it's new construction, we'll accept a certificate of occupancy, or if it's a pre-existing house, a professional inspection must be conducted. And if there are any major defects identified on the inspection report, those have got to be repaired before they go to closing. We don't want to put any hardship on the new homeowner moving into a home where they have thousands of dollars of repairs in a house that they're moving into. So we require all those things to be repaired prior to closing.
Thank you. Any follow-up, President Congo?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from any committee members, any other council members? Lynn Faulkner. I think we have, excuse me, Ms. Faulkner or Lynn Faulkner from the public. Would you like to speak? Is your mic muted? Ms. Faulkner?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to speak. I am a real estate agent in the state of Delaware, and I do have an overwhelming number of clients who, half of whom are with Delaware State Housing Authority and are paying anywhere from some $900 to $1,200 a month for a state housing authority property, and they like to own their own home. They get approved or get a pre-approval letter from a lender, but with the current market and prices skyrocketing, very few qualify for more than, I would say, for more than $180,000, which limits the properties that are available because we have such a shortage of inventory. And the properties that are on the market often do need some repair. So the majority of the properties that are currently marketed within that price range are listed as cash and conventional, especially if they're under $120,000. So the problem that a lot of these potential home buyers are having is coming up with the $10,000 to $20,000 in closing costs. They have the down payment, they have the pre-approval letter that puts them in a budget that they can manage for their monthly mortgage, but to maintain that and to continue to pay their normal household bills sometimes presents a problem. So I think that this would be a great opportunity to increase the number of homeowners in Wilmington and the surrounding area. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's in keeping with what a lot of other cities are doing and could definitely turn some of our more blighted communities around.
Thank you, Ms. Faulkner. Thank you very much. And hopefully that you will follow us, and hopefully this will be passed, and maybe by the first of the year, some of your customers will be able to participate in this program.
I will certainly share it with them. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public? Well, I'd like to thank everyone that participated from the public. Mr. Congo? President Congo, do you have your hand up or no? No.
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Harvey, I think that's it. I really appreciate this presentation. I've learned a lot. I hope everyone else has. And it looks like I do have, or we do have some support for this program. And I was going to say that the comments that Ms. Faulkner made were very timely, because I was just informed that getting a house in Wilmington for under $200,000 is pretty ridiculous. It's almost impossible. So that's what you were addressing, the price point in the city, which is pretty high. Okay, well, I think the meeting will be adjourned. That's it. Ms. Harvey, do you have any questions for us before I adjourn the meeting?
No, and just feel free to reach out to me if anyone has any additional questions regarding the Dover First program. I'll be happy to assist.
Well, thank you very much. And I must say that the ordinance that I have in the works was basically a combination of Dover's ordinance and Newcastle County's ordinance. So I think highly of it. So thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
You're quite welcome.
You're
Is
welcome.
there an opportunity for the public to speak on other intergovernmental matters?
Can I ask specifically what subject it is? How far?
The city not being responsible for the flooding, the state has to be responsible for the flooding.
No,
I don't know what the mission is for this committee, but that's an intergovernmental.
well, why don't you, what I suggest is why don't you,
DEMA. I don't come to the city of Wilmington to talk about DEMA, but I figured the city of Wilmington could get involved with DEMA.
with this committee, yes, but what I suggest is you email me and ask me to put it on the agenda, and possibly we could invite someone
I'll
from,
be here tomorrow, and we'll work on putting it on the agenda for next time, which will be next week.
no, it's the first, this committee meeting is the first Wednesday of the month, so the next meeting will be the first Wednesday of December.
Hopefully we get everything taken care of before then.
I-
But I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeMarquis.
Thank you.
Did I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Everyone wants to stick around?
I motion to adjourn.
I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Okay, that went well. Well, I think so.